I don't deserve it, no, but it would be worth it. All I want is love and conditional. Love and conditional. Yeah. It don't matter who you are, you still need love. I remember feeling if we could get what it was, I needed to treat it to mean it and give me purpose. Without that unconditional love, I just purpose on the surface looking good, but deeply I met a vow. Meditating to follow the streets and slaughter my feet just like the cattle. I'm stressing it's the lesson, it's the hard pill to swallow. When you realize it ain't love, been a bottle. I ain't trying to sound like I'm preaching, but still the most I'm reaching. Love was meant for all, if not the more we seek it, feeling defeated and broken when it's gone. Let your pain in your heart and you're feeling so alone. I've been there, that's why I'm speaking from experience. Somebody left you even deeper than you think it is. I'm serious, the message you be curious. Praying that you're hearing this, the type of love I'm talking about is all I've been made my mistakes, all I want is love and conditional. Love and conditional. I don't deserve it, no, but it would be worth it. All I want is love and conditional. Love and conditional. Yeah, all the time, no, some make mistakes. Think my mama will pray, got you my babies. That's that conditional love, cause no, I didn't deserve it. I was breaking the heart and doing dirt on purpose. Until the night I changed, I fell inside. On 21st of Minnesota, from a Jeep to a soldier. Homies looking at me different, saying I done changed, but this ain't how I remember it. The rules of the game, stay alive and be there for your fam. You gotta know I love for yours, I hope you understand. You ain't gonna get it on your own, you need to make a plan. You niggas won't get home, even after man. You know what I'm saying? It's when I speak up, I know no matter we go. If they can't help you be strong, you gotta tell them to go. You go. They mean to say it twice. When I stand with my life, you gotta love me like Christ.
Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a good day today. We are live for this week's class, and it is myself, Winfred Burns II, and Miss Tiffany Green Hood, and we're here to talk to you about money and publishing. So I hope you guys have your pen and paper. I hope you guys are ready to dive into this topic, take notes, ask questions, and get ready to be transformed. The reason why we're doing this class is because, first of all, this is an industry where many people, especially in our community, are getting involved in, and there are a lot of, let's just say, errors that people are making. And so between myself and Tiffany, we want to do what we can to help you. So we're going to give you some strategy to help you publish. We're going to give you information about that and some strategy that actually make money. Because it's one thing to write a book, but then it's another thing to actually make money with the book. And so we want you to be able to do both. So before we get into the information, I'm going to let Tiffany and myself, we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then we're going to just jump into, I'm going to let Tiffany jump into kind of what publishing is, why self-publishing, and then we'll get into that. So go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely, like he said, get your pens and paper, notes, and ask questions, okay? My name is Tiffany A. Green, and I teach authors the business of publishing. And the reason why that is I'm so serious about it, because there's too many authors out here who have their own works, right? Meaning they've written a book, they have poems that they have maybe 100 poems written over the last 20 years. They want to write about their life story, all this, and then they end up signing away their coins, their rights to these companies to get published. So my purpose is to steer you away from the companies and to teach you the business of publishing and self-publish the appropriate way so you can keep your money in your pocket. So that's what I do.
So I'm gonna kick it off with a question, because how many books have you written? I know you've written several books. I've done one. How many books have you written?
I've written.
Okay.
And then I've been a part of Another anthology as well, aside from my own.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. And so one of the reasons why I asked that is because I know a lot of people, especially now, are, I want you all to understand that you are talking to two people who are doing this. We have
yeah.
proof that what we're doing. So
Right.
this is, we're not just in here talking. This is something that we do. And so because I am not an expert in the publishing area, I went to the expert to find out how we can do it. So, and so we've collaborated before about things. And so I thought this would be a good collaboration, especially for in this topic. So again, I'm my Woodford Burns. They call me the money mentor. I have a undergraduate degree in finance. I've been working in banking and financial services since for 18 years now, in all areas of banking, from branch management all the way to consumer deposit, where I managed a $6 billion portfolio for a financial institution, to investment banking, to business banking, et cetera, et cetera. And now I help individuals and families and businesses develop strategies to make more money and to reduce debt. So that's, again, how you get money in publishing. So Tiffany, just do me a favor, because I know a lot of people don't really know publishing and the difference between self-publishing and publishing with a company. Kind of walk us through what's the difference? What are the differences?
The big difference between publishing with a company and self-publishing your own book is you become the publisher instead of you having to go through a company, which, number one, will have control of your entire project, meaning if they don't like something in your story, they'll suggest that you change this, change that, meaning they may want you to change your cover. They may want you to change some parts of your story that they don't think is appropriate for what they're trying to sell. So you have to remember, the ball is not so much to see what will benefit you, but more so what will benefit them. And again, it's business. I'm not mad at them. I totally speak against a lot of different companies, but not because they're breaking the law, because they're not breaking any laws. What's happening is the authors are not reading the contracts. They're not reading what they're signing away to.
Okay.
So I advise that you self-publish, have total control of your own project. You can do exactly what you want to do. You foot the bill, yes, you do. But in the end, you keep more coins on your table.
I would agree. Now, when you say our authors are not reading and they're giving up their rights, so besides control of what goes into the book, what are there other rights that people are giving up?
Yes, there are, and I'm talking about not even from the publishers I'm normally talking about are the vanity publishers, like, for example, iUniverse, Author House, iUniverse, Author House, Exilibris, Dorrance Publishing, Christian Faith Publishing, Exelon Press. I know some of you all have heard of those companies, right? You can just Google self-publishing and they come up. So they all pretty much operate under the same, they all operate under a corporate company. So all of their contracts are very similar. But you'll also find independent publishers like myself who have contracts that will simply say, we own your rights in the contract. And you have independent authors who have written these books, yes, who have written these books, and they are signing to this, right? Then when you wake up and they all of a sudden get this knowledge of what's really in that contract, then they want to fuss and complain. But honestly, you agreed to that. You saw dollar signs, and now I'm talking about authors that sell thousands of books. They really don't even publisher, but sometimes you may feel like this will help me with my marketing, this will help me, but also what's in these contracts with the signing the rights, we're talking about independent publishers now, just like me. Except I don't because I'm on a whole different train. So, but they'll offer, they'll have in there that you keep all that they keep all your rights, and then what they'll do is if you want to come out, you have to purchase your rights back. So they then have the power to make you pay. I actually talked to an author just about 3 months ago, and this was a popular publisher. And he said in order to buy his rights back, he was signed with her for 7 years. He was going to have to pay her $1,000 for each year he was signed with her in order to get his rights back. This is
rights to his own book.
His own book, but he signed, but it was in the contract. It was in the agreement, and he signed it. When you sign that, that means you agree that you have no problem with it. Another major thing that was in there was that they don't get royalties off of physical books. They don't get royalties off of paperback books, only ebooks. I don't know what's up with that, but this is pretty popular in the African American urban fiction industry. That is what these publishers are giving these authors, and they agree this. They signing on to this garbage. I get it. Ebooks make a lot of money, but what about physical books? That means that if my publisher is at an event and she has physical books, she keep all that money. She sell it. If she got physical copies of my books, she selling all that. And you sign into this like it's okay. Anyway, so yeah.
And so do you typically find this, because I remember, so probably several years ago, I remember listening to T.D. Jakes talk about when he did his first big book, Woman Thou Art Loose. And he talked about how he had to put all of his savings together to pay a publisher to print his books, and for his first round of books. And I thought to myself, that was the first time I had realized that you actually had to pay for somebody to get a profit of your book. And so I didn't realize that. I thought that when you published it, like kind of like if a publisher published your book, they, you just split it, 60, 40, 70, 30, whatever, something like that. So that's helpful when you have to pay. And I've heard you say this before. What are you paying for?
See, now when you say T.D. Jakes, that takes me into a whole nother round, because with T.D. Jakes, now see, I don't know if we're talking about his very first book.
I think it was his very first book, like Woman Thou Art Loose,
okay,
a long time ago.
Okay. So even with someone with his name, I mean, I know his audience has grown since then, but it depends on what kind of company he was with. If he was with a Vanity Company, yes, the Vanity Companies, some of the names that I mentioned earlier, they have you pay for your publishing. It's not a traditional contract. So you're paying for the package. You're paying for them to do the production, to get the book physically in front of you, complete, boom, here's the book, right? Yes, you still then pay for your own books to be printed, and then charging you, so they're going to make money on you in the front end and have you pay for a package, and they have all this stuff listed. And when I look at it, to me, it's a bunch of garbage, because they don't teach you nothing. Okay. So what you have is you have thousands and probably millions when you put all these companies together and look at how many books they've published, of authors who they've published, done production for. Really, that's really basically what they're doing. And then you have authors at the end of that, after they finish paying, now you're gonna charge them 3 times what the book really costs to be printed. They lock you in the contract and tell you can't print with nobody else. Everything is in the company name, but they'll advertise self-publishing packages. That's another story. But they lock you in. You cannot print with no other company but them, so you're stuck. I know now who published with Exelon Press, and I warned her. She signed with them anyway. I have no idea what she paid. I know she paid at least $1,000. It probably was way more than that. And her book right now is on Amazon for $16.99. She has to pay $11 to print her own book per copy. Yes. And trust and believe in that contract, she can't print with nobody else. Some of the companies have a sign off. It was another author I spoke to. I said, let's go through your contract. She sent it to me. We was on three-way. She ended up calling the company to see if she could get out. It was a $400 fee for her to get out and be able to print with another company. But most of them don't even offer you. So, yeah.
So just so you pay an upfront fee to
Upfront.
print, then you pay fees for them to market your book for them to
the marketing. We even got to the marketing yet. We ain't even got to that yet. We just still in production, right? So the packages will run from 500 up until I've seen $15,000, $12,000, $15,000 packages. I always go to the highest package, and I scroll down the little bullet thing they have, and then to me, it's a bunch of guys because you still don't know what the heck you're doing. And ain't nothing in your name, it's in their name. And then they have you in the contract that you're giving away. They get 90% and you get 10%. It's an auxiliary contract, it's an author house contract, and most of the stuff is on their website.
Well, you said they get 90, you get 10.
You get 10, you are not getting the 90. Believe that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then what other fees? So we've got publishing, they get 90, 10, marketing fees. What other fees?
We ain't got no marketing yet. We ain't got some marketing.
I know we ain't got that yet. That's all I see. I'm already depressed.
But they now see how you saying how it make you feel. They be excited about this garbage. Because all they thinking is my book about to be published. Some of them think they being signed. You're not being signed. You paying for this. When you sign, you don't pay nothing. But now, let's talk about being traditionally signed. Okay. I don't know a whole lot in that era, but what I do know is, y'all know Michelle Obama published a book.
Right.
Becoming Michelle? Mm-hmm. Awesome. We all love Michelle, right? Sure. My problem with this publishing deal. Everybody know Michelle. Michelle, if you Google it, I Googled it the other day. Michelle, they said Michelle sold 10 million books. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know what the time frame was, but she sold 10 million books. Mm-hmm. Everybody already knew Michelle. Michelle was going to sell 10 million anyway. So when I think as my position in teaching authors the business, I think about how much now a regular person would say, doesn't have knowledge of it. Oh, shoot, she made a lot of money off of that. She did. Let's just say she did. But in my brain, what she could have got, imagine what her publisher made. Most traditional contracts, from what I hear, again, that's not really, because I'm not selling people on traditional. I'm selling people on self-publishing. But now she made, she sold 10 million books. I looked on Amazon to see what the book was going for. I think the price that came up for me was the Kindle or the paperback price was $32 or something like that. I just did the little simple math on that. It came out to 325 million. Just off of that price. Now we know she had other versions. She had ebooks, she had audio, all that. We just going off just this one. So that's really the amount that her publishing company made in that, right? That means that if she only got 10% of that, I'm not even going to say 10% because what I've been hearing is most traditional contracts, the author gets like 3 to 5%, maybe 7. I haven't heard of 10. I don't know. Of course, I don't have her contract, so I have no idea what she got.
Yeah, her and Barack signed. I said I remember her and Barack signed a 3-book deal for like $50 million, if I remember correctly. So, but still, if that publishing company made,
We just come out one format, right? If I did that math right, 10 million times that 32, it was like 3250 or something like that.
Yeah,
just saying. Come on, you see all that money that was left? People was gonna buy Michelle. All Michelle would have made, she would have been able to make that money that the publishing company made. Yes, she would have had to pay for, all she would have had to pay for was a company to print her book, do her production, her editing, and print the book, which would have costed her under $10,000 to do. Okay, then she could have a publicist to set up, book tour, all that stuff. See, because what happens is, and Common as well, but I can't even compare Common to Michelle because I know he ain't sold nowhere near what she sold. Although Common has on Instagram 1 million followers. Okay, he's very well known. He's made a name for himself. But my point is that people buying them books not because of the publishing company. They buying the books because of you.
Right, because the author.
That's why I focus so much on authors building their author brand, which again, these vanity companies ain't telling you nothing about that. Because that's not.
We're gonna get to that in just a minute too. Because I know we both got some stuff. So and this is actually we can get into it now because we just got our first question. So the first we got a question is, what recommendation would you give someone that is new to self-publishing a book? Are there certain steps to take? So, of course, the answer to that is yes. There are certain steps to take. So, what do you, in terms of what would you tell somebody? I'll put it back up so you can answer that question.
The first thing I would recommend you to do is to follow me on Instagram and Periscope. All my content is. That would be the first thing. Because, I have here.
What's your Instagram?
My Instagram is Black Writers Space, all one word. Black Writers Space, all one word. And there are tips on there. It's all kind of stuff. My first thing I would tell an author is to read and research. And you're not going to know what to read and research. That's why you need to go to my Instagram page. So you see some of the bullet points that I point out that so many authors miss. And it costs you. It will cost you. Because I get the people that miss these steps. When they get to me, I say, you need to republish. Because what we want to do is, you done paid this company. I just published a lady. I cannot wait to get the new copy of her book. She spent $6,000 with Exilibris in 2015. Mm-hmm. She has only paid about $17 in royalties from them. Because they're not teaching you nothing about marketing. They tried to sell her all kind of garbage that they call marketing. So you got to be careful. You need to know what marketing is for your book. Not for what Jobo, the person next to you book is for. Not for what, Michelle Obama did for her. She didn't have to market. Hell, she done already marketed herself all these years. Everybody knows who she is and they love her. That is what you need to make about your author brand. That's what the whole branding is about. Building relationships. A lot of these authors want to just publish a book. They think their story is so amazing. Oh, Oprah is going to want this. Oprah ain't looking for you. I'm just going to break your heart right now. She ain't looking for you. Mm-hmm. Your Facebook page up. It's a bunch of garbage on there. Your Instagram, you don't even have one. Or you just got a whole bunch of reposts on there. The words don't even fit across. There's no link. No, we got to start. So when authors get to me, I'm usually, especially if they've already paid these companies, I tell them my suggestion is that you republish. So to answer that question directly, I know I go off. Is to read and research. You don't know what to read and research, you need to be following me.
Okay. And then what was after? So once they read and research, then what do they do?
Once they read and research, then they should have an idea. It would actually take them back to their own book, whether it's already published or not. Mm-hmm. Because if they take all these steps,
Uh,
The branding process will help you lay the foundation. It's gonna make you just say, you know what, stop and sit down and figure out, who is my book talking to? Who am I selling to?
yep.
Because most authors can't answer that question.
Yep. You
So
actually get into some of my stuff too. I actually agree with that. I actually have a several several things on here too. Tell me what you think too. So I put on here that the first thing I would do actually is to, before you ever publish, is to begin to establish yourself as a subject matter expert. Um, so whatever you're going to be writing a book about, you have to be the subject matter or a subject matter expert in that. So if it's going to be publishing, you got to be the subject matter expert in publishing. If it's going to be money, be the subject matter expert in money. Whatever, if it's going to be romance, be the subject matter expert in that. Because right now, in most of the spaces that we're going to be writing about, it's already going to be a very convoluted and crowded area. And so people know the difference between somebody who's just talking versus somebody who's done it. So I say do things like leverage, like you were just talking about, your social media. Your social media should be about the same thing, whatever you're an expert about. If you go to my social media pages, you're going to get the same thing. You're going to get faith, you're going to get finance, you're going to get relationships, and that's it. And you're going to get something fun. That's it. Because you don't, and every so often you're going to get something about my family. That's it. You're not going to get a whole bunch of extra stuff. So leverage your social media, which is free, and you should be doing some paid stuff to do that. You should be using, right now, I tell people, if you want to be a subject matter expert, you need to learn how to master LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the new spot for professionals. So if you want to become a subject matter expert, you would do really good by being good at LinkedIn. YouTube, same thing. Videos, like things like we're doing right now. Things like this help establish you as subject matter expert. Podcasts, radio interviews, live events, like going to other people's live events and being guests. All of those things help you become a subject matter expert, and do that before you ever try to publish a book. Because if you don't, you're going to publish a book and nobody's going to know who you are. And it's just going to be a pretty book. So that would be the first thing that I would tell new people who are new to self-publishing. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. You said it all.
Okay. The next step I have is, and I actually got this one from you when I was writing my book, was don't wait till the book is done to start telling people you have a book. So in the movie business, when Black Panther came out, we all knew Black Panther was going to be a success. Why? Because they spent millions of dollars before it ever got to the movie theater, telling people and showing people just how good the movie was going to be. So when it hit the movie theater, people were waiting in line to see it because they knew that Black Panther was going to be a good movie. So why don't we do the same thing with our book? It's very simple. We should be, leaking portions of your book, whether it's small portions of it, whether it's doing live videos talking about it, whether it's, again, getting on other people's podcasts or platforms. You have to be doing that so people know pre-release that, again, not only are you the subject matter expert, but you want them anticipating that your book is coming. So when it drops, there is a sense of urgency to go out and find your project. So, thoughts? Anything to add to that?
Yes, I'm a firm believer in pre-orders. I have a client right who has, last time I talked to her, she had 50 pre-orders of her book. And it may sound like a small number, but I'm telling y'all, look, selling books is not an easy thing. It's not easy. And I know authors who ain't even sold 50, and they published 10 years ago. Okay.
Right.
So So yes, I'm all for pre-orders. And what pre-orders do is get the message out that, hey, I have a book. Once your cover is done, you have the authority to market that joker. That don't mean the book got to be done. I'm gonna leave that right there.
Right. Okay. All right. The next thing I have on my list is almost what you just said a few minutes ago as well. Find and focus. Find and get focused in a target market. Listen. So I remember when I did and somebody said, "So who is it for?" I'm like, "It's for everybody. It's for anybody." And in my mind, that made it perfect sense. And it still does. Even with my radio show, people, who's your radio show? And I used to be like, oh, it's for everybody. No, it's not. It's not. And so you have to find out who your target market is, and you have to focus everything you do towards it. What do I mean by that? Meaning that first of all, once you know who your target market is, who is your product for? So the problem is most of us go into it thinking our target market is for a certain audience, but it's really for a different audience. So for example, I wrote a book, or I'm in the process of writing a book that is for men. The problem is, once I wrote the book, I remembered something, and that is that men don't read. So to write a book for men, the reality is most women are probably going to read it. So that then I had to go back and change certain parts of it, certain language, because I know there's certain language that's a little better for men versus women. Change my cover, because is my book tailored for Black women versus white women, for 35-year-old women versus 65-year-old women, and so all of that for people of faith versus people who are not of faith. So all of that affects how you market your book, the words you say in your book, the wording, the language. Like, I can't use certain vernacular if I'm talking to white people because they don't understand it. And so I think we have to know who our target market is and focus our activities to that. If you don't do that, you will be frustrated because you will be trying to spread too wide of a net. And then when you catch nothing, you'll be wondering why. Well, it's because you didn't do this next thing, which is you didn't engage in building any relationships. But once you find out who your target market is, we try to look for quantity instead of quality. So you say, okay, once I know who my target market is, now I'm going to get to know who they are intimately. So I need to know if it's 35-year-old Black women who make $50,000 a year, who are single mothers working middle management corporate America. I need to know how much are they willing to pay for a book. I then need to know what kind of events they like. What do they drink? What do they eat? Where do they shop? Where do they not shop? Where do they where do they get their hair? All of this information you need to know because it plays a part in how you speak to them and where you speak to them. It also lets you know how to engage them, what questions to ask, how you can build relationships, because the goal is if you build deep enough relationships with these people, they will, as Tiffany said, they will sell your book for you. Because they love you so much that the very moment you drop something, it's like, oh, he or she's been giving us this great content for so long. I'd have to buy this book because everything else they've done has been really good. And that's the idea.
Give me a chance to hit that. Appreciate it.
Okay, I got you. So so you want to make sure that you establish and engage in those types of relationships. And again, for me, I say if you can get 100 people to absolutely be passionately in love with you, that's great for somebody that's starting out. So all these huge Facebook groups and stuff, that's great, but you just need 100 people who love your dirty draws and will do anything that you ask them to do, and that's a really good start. You got anything to add to that?
No, that was good. That was good.
Oh, I got a lot of mistakes. Go ahead.
My question is, how do you find out all these details about your target market? Like you were saying, how much they make, their age group, and this and that. That would be a lot of questions that authors would ask. How do I find out all these things?
Well, so one way you do it is if you're doing social media, if you're doing, so it depends on how you get them. So if you get them through social media, if you get them through live events, things like that. So I do it two ways. Number one, a simple thing of I might take a sample of my social media followers. So I go and I recently just did this. I went to my social media page, looked to see who my followers were, and then I started finding out information about them through asking questions. Like if you see posts, you'll see people post like, "Drop where you live. What do you do? What if without what do you do for a living?" Like you'll see, you just ask them, and then in the process of doing that, you also get their email information. So you get email information as a part of building your email list. That's in your information. What's your date of birth? What state do you live in? And then you start being able to tailor all of this information, and then you just kind of put it together. Now, this is the free way to do it. There's services that you can buy to do that for you, but you literally just can go through your email list and through your Facebook pages and find out your social media pages and find out who follows you and not so much who follows you, who engages with you.
Exactly.
So it's not so much the followers, it's the people who are engaged, who comments, who talks back. When you post questions, who responds. That's what you want to know.
Yeah, and engagement that's the ticket right there. It's not even much the number of followers, it's who is talking back to you.
Here's my question. So what is a good, because I know who I use, are there good specific companies that people want to self-publish that they should go with?
Me.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just being honest. All of those companies that I refer to, I can't recommend none of them. None of them. I'm just saying. Shameless plug.
No. You should. So how then? Okay. So then, if someone said, okay, are there other things that we should look for when we self-publish, or because when I first started, when I did my book several years ago, I think the only one I knew was Amazon now, but it was.
I'm not saying don't publish on Amazon. Amazon is great. You definitely want to have your book on Amazon. It's a great platform. But here's the deal. The way, again, I got this different type of brain. So in my mind, I found out a lot of authors don't even know that they don't even need Amazon to publish. Not talking about putting it on there to sell. I'm talking about to actually publish. People think they have to use Amazon or Lulu, or that you absolutely need a third-party company.
No.
But a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that my first time.
KDP. And from what I hear, see, I've never used CreateSpace. So I don't even know how that works, but they've changed over or something like that.
They're Amazon. Amazon bought.
Right. So I wouldn't be, when they come and ask me, I have no idea how that works. I don't. Have I published my book through KDP? Absolutely. I still use Amazon for ebooks and stuff. And even my husband's book is on as a ebook and as a paperback. But I don't use them to publish. See, there's a difference. So yeah. But you don't have to use a third party. So I guess what I'm saying is, and that's probably kind of really hard to even say, because I know, there's a large population of authors who just don't know how to do it. That's why I suggest getting a coach. I know sometimes we want to just get it done. And I've done things just get it done, get this ebook out so you can stop procrastinating and things like that. But a lot of times when we do that, we end up having to go and redo it over, which you can do as a self-published author. You can relaunch, you can redo a cover and things like that. But my initial advice would be to get a coach Some people say, well, I have no idea what to do. That's what you need a coach. So
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's see what else do I have. The only last one point that I had was to create an event. So once your book is published and ready to go, you need an event.
Mm-hmm.
You need something big to announce that you are present. So a release party or an online party. You need events. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Why do you say that?
You definitely need a book signing too. Number one, I think, is to celebrate, because a lot of us have, when you publish that first book, you have to realize, you don't let nobody water down your wins, your accomplishments, your goals that you have completed, because what we forget, especially in the African American community, is that we're normally the first to do a lot of stuff. So I know for me, I'm the first entrepreneur in my family. Not on my dad's side, but definitely on my mom's side. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of us are the first to publish a book. Parents didn't know nothing about publishing books and all this. Definitely not the grandparents. And if we go back to slavery, please, the option wasn't even given to them. So just the whole social media thing and all this stuff. Yes, when you release your book, you plan you a book signing, and you can't start this on the day that the book released. Okay. So when he was talking about getting the buzz out there, you want to get the buzz out there while you're planning your event. I have a book signing coming up in September. It's already on Eventbrite. We're starting to go live and talk about it and build the buzz all of July and August. See what I'm saying? A good 6 months would be great to talk about your book. You could do it in 3, but it's all about the momentum that you have. So, but you want to, so you can invite people to come out, sell some copies of the book. But one thing I will say is, what most authors do, who totally don't get it and they don't know a whole lot, most of the ones that go through those companies, is they publish the book, they have a book signing, and then they stop. So then when somebody comes along, they say, how did the book do? They say, oh, it didn't do too well. No, it didn't do because you didn't. That's all I'm going to say about that. You had it.
I'm going to say more. So my next point was exactly was, after the release party, the next point is definitely to repeat step one. I think oftentimes we forget, like you said, step one, remember, was to establish yourself as a subject matter expert. If you notice, anybody who writes a book, most recently, I can give you the example of Andre Iguodala. He was on the Breakfast Club, and we see a lot of things like that. You see, when new artists or when new albums come out, when that comes out, that a new movie comes out, you start seeing people doing tons of what they call press runs. Again, where they're out establishing the subject matter expert, where they're trying to create and deepen relationships, where all those relationships that they've created and networks that they've built before, those are getting bigger, and they're leveraging those. Again, that's why you want to do all that stuff pre-release, so that way when it's time to release all of that and for all this out, all you're doing is going back to those same people and letting them know, hey, that I've taken the next step and I am now I've now published. I don't know what just happened to Tiffany. Are you still here?
I'm here.
I don't see her. So those to me, and so here is the benefit to that. I recently saw a post that was talking about they were having a debate about master classes versus publishing books, and to me, I thought that was a really good one. You're very welcome, no problem. What I thought was really good, and a really good discussion. And the reason I thought it was a good discussion. And why it's good for us is because, so once you have established, done all of these things that I just told you, the argument was, they talked about if you host, how hard it is to sell 100 books, and that it can be difficult. And once you sell 100 books, how you make, I think it was like, if the book was $20, you sold 100. 100 was it 100 a week for 12 months. Basically, the end result of it was that you made $12,000. Whereas if you did the same thing for this master class, then you made a whole lot more. And when I saw that again, I thought that was very interesting. It was good, but it was interesting because I thought, well, you can't really do master classes effectively until you have become a subject matter expert. And right now, one of the ways that you become a subject matter expert is, again, establishing yourself that pre-release, but then that book. Having a successful book helps establish you in the marketplace as someone who not necessarily who is a subject matter expert and who can complete a project. And so one of the things you want to do is you want to do both, is why I bring that up. So you want to be able to take that same information post production and then turn that into master classes like this. So let's just say, for example, you do a book, you charge, $20 for the book, you sell, 1,000 copies of a book, and then, and you continue to do that. Later on, you host a master class over something that's in the book or how you produce the book, then there's an additional revenue stream from that. I know an author who sold, and I don't know actually how many books he sold, but he sold a quite amount of books, and all of his books were through his publisher. But in his deal, and I don't know how he did this or what, but basically under his own company, he did master classes under his own company based on the topic of the book. The book company owned the rights to the book, but not to his classes. And so you did buy a book. If you went to the class, you got a free copy of the book. Well, they said it was a free copy, but you really paid for it. But what they also did was you got this class. So he gave you a book and the class, and he cut back the check to the company for the book, and he kept the money for the master class. And when I did the math, he had well over 1,000 people in his master class. But again, he had established himself as a subject matter expert. He had established himself as someone, this wasn't his first book, so he had done several of them. He had done events, and he had done contests and things like that leading into it. So once he did that, then at the end of it, guess what? He was able to turn that into a master class where he made well over $500,000. So, and that was all him minus the expenses of, marketing it on social media, sending out his email system that he used and stuff like that. So he made a good chunk of change. So the point is, you want to write a book, a good book. You want to roll it out the right way. You want to be the subject matter expert the right way. You want to do all of that stuff right, because again, it leads into other streams of income. So it's not just a book. It's a book that leads you into other stuff. So I hope this has been helpful for you guys. I don't know where Tiffany went, but
I'm right here. I'm still here.
Fine. But she's been a great help. Again, if you don't follow her on social media, you need to. Black Writer Space it's a page that I'm on. I say this when I need help with publishing and questions like that. She's one of the people that I go to. So she is somebody who you can trust, who will tell you, as you see, tell it like it is. And so if you ever need help with that, please go to her. If you need help with going with your financial stuff, please, you can always see me. And again, we will both definitely be in touch. So I hope you had a good day. I hope this class was beneficial. Again, you will have 24 hours to watch this on a replay. And we'll for the next 24 hours. Hold on, let me give you, she just sent me a link. So I'm going to give y'all her link. Hold on. Copy. All right, give you this link. Actually, I'm going to put this in the video, and then I'm also going to, I'm going to put this link in the group because for some reason this link doesn't want to act right. Wait, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to put this link in the group. So if you are in this group, again, you've got 24 hours to catch the replay. Get this link, follow Tiffany on all of our social media outlets, and we are going to help you. If you need help, again, I'm here, Tiffany's here. We would love to help you make your dream a reality. You have in you, oh, there you are. I believe, again, that you have something in you that God has gifted you with the ability to do whatever it is that He has called you to do. And you should make it your mission. I always say to live full, but to die empty. So whatever in you, work to get it out of you. And I can promise you, if you do that, if you follow your purpose, then things like money do not become an issue because you are in the purpose of God for your life. So y'all have a good rest of your day. Tiffany, thank you very much for joining us. And like I said, I'll put this link on the page, guys. So please follow her on social media. And we'll see y'all later. All right. Have a good day.